So you're all set to launch your business, ready to form that LLC. You find a fee online, you click pay, and you figure, hey, I'm done. But what if that fee is just the tip of the iceberg? Today, we're going to cut right through all that noise and figure out what it really costs to get your business up and running. Let's dive in.
Yeah, this is a story we hear constantly. A founder thinks they've got it all sorted out only to get blindsided by an unexpected bill a few weeks down the road. It's like this frustrating, unspoken tuition that so many entrepreneurs end up paying. And that's exactly what we're here to help you avoid. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to uncover those sneaky hidden costs. Then we'll give you a super simple framework for thinking about your budget. After that, we'll dig into the real numbers, expose 2 major traps that can cost you a fortune, and then wrap it all up with a clear, actionable plan you can use literally today.
Okay, let's get right to the heart of it. That flashy number you see on a website, that initial filing fee, it's almost never the whole story. There's a whole world of other costs hiding just beneath the surface. This, right here, is the question that really counts. Not just what you pay right now, but what the grand total is for your entire first year. You know, getting this number right is the key to starting your business without any nasty financial surprises. So to make sense of all this, we need a better way to think about the costs. And luckily, there's a really simple framework that puts everything into 2 neat little buckets. Here it is. Think of it this way. You've got your initial costs, which are like the door fee, a one-time payment to get into the club. This is mostly your articles of organization, the official paper that brings your company to life. Then you have your ongoing costs. Think of this as the rent you have to pay every year just to keep the lights on and stay in business. This includes things like annual reports and, in some states, franchise taxes, which is basically a fee for the privilege of doing business there. They are not the same thing, and mixing them up is where all the trouble starts.
So if you remember just one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Don't get tempted by a low door fee. You have to look at the total first-year cost. That's the door fee plus the first year's rent. Making that one mental shift will save you so many headaches.
Okay, with that framework locked in, let's look at some real numbers. Because when you start comparing states, you really see just how misleading that initial fee can be.
I mean, just look at the door fees here. The range is huge, right? Arizona's only $50 while Texas is $300. So you might think, well, Arizona's a no-brainer. But hold on. Remember, this is just the door fee. What about the rent? The ongoing annual costs can completely flip this picture on its head. A state with a cheap door fee could have sky-high rent, and a state with an expensive door fee might be super cheap year after year. Let's just zoom in on New York for a second. $200. Okay, not the cheapest, not the pricey. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it?
Well, you'd think so, but it's not. That $200 is actually hiding one of the biggest, most surprising costs for forming an LLC in the entire country. This is the perfect example of why you just can't take that first number you see at face value.
And here's another trap that trips up so many people. They think they can be clever and save a buck by forming their LLC in a cheap state, even though they operate in another. But look at Texas. It's $300 to form an LLC there. But if you form somewhere else and then need to register to legally do business in Texas, that's called a foreign registration. The cost jumps to $750. That's more than double. It's a huge cost that a lot of people just forget about.
All right, now for the big ones. Let's talk about 2 of the most common and expensive traps out there: the publication requirement and the alluring promise of the Series LLC. Getting either of these wrong can be a very, very costly mistake.
Remember that $200 New York fee? Well, here's the catch. The second your LLC gets approved, bam, a 120-day clock starts ticking. You are now legally required to publish a notice about your new company in 2 different newspapers and then file proof with the state. This is not a friendly suggestion. It's a hard deadline with very real consequences. And the price tag for that little newspaper ad in New York? It can easily run you hundreds, sometimes over $1,000, depending on where you are. And if you miss that deadline, the state can suspend your authority to do business. It's basically a leftover rule from before the internet, but the fees and the deadlines are very, very real today.
Now for trap number 2, the Series LLC. On paper, this thing sounds like a game changer. You form one main LLC, and then you can create these separate, protected pods or series underneath it. It seems like a super efficient way to separate your assets, like if you have multiple rental properties. But here's the dose of reality. A founder we know did exactly this. He walked right into his local bank, so proud of his sophisticated new Delaware Series LLC. And the banker just looked at him and asked a simple question. Okay, which series is opening this account? And that one question stopped him dead in his tracks. The bank's system just wasn't built to handle it. So the legal structure was perfect on paper, but in the real world, it was totally useless.
So here's the bottom line. Just because a state like Delaware lets you create a Series LLC doesn't mean the rest of the world, especially banks and insurance companies, has any idea what to do with it. So the single most important thing you can do before you even think about filing is to pick up the phone, call your bank, and ask them one simple question. Do you support bank accounts for individual series of a Series LLC? Their answer will tell you everything you need to know.
Okay, we've laid out the problems, we've seen the traps. Now, let's put it all together into a simple, straightforward workflow you can use to get this done right in about 15 minutes.
It really is this simple. 4 steps. First, always go directly to the official state government website. Don't get caught paying extra for a third-party service you don't need. Second, the moment you get that approval email, open your calendar and put in 2 dates, your publication deadline, if you have one, and your first annual report due date. Do not trust your memory. Third, run the numbers. Do a quick calculation comparing the total first-year cost in your home state versus that popular Delaware plus foreign registration combo. And finally, only pay extra to expedite your filing if the math actually makes sense, if the cost of waiting is higher than the fee to speed things up. And if you think that third step isn't a big deal, listen to this. A founder thought she was being super savvy forming her LLC in low-cost Wyoming. But since she actually worked out of her home state, she still had to pay for that foreign registration. So her planned $60 expense instantly exploded to $435. That 5-minute calculation would have saved her almost $400.
All right, let's wrap this up with the big takeaways. Your game plan. Number 1, always make your decision based on the full first-year total cost, not the teaser fee. 2, respect the clocks. Those deadlines for publication and annual reports are real. Put them on your calendar. 3, only buy speed when it actually pays you back. And 4, before you even dream about a Series LLC, call your bank. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to this. Now that you're armed with the real numbers, you can make a smart, clear-eyed choice. For most businesses, the simplest path, just forming in your home state, is usually the cheapest and the best. The only question is, which path makes the most sense for you?